hot welcome to Out of Your League, episode 7. The country's in crisis, but rugby league is, fair to say, still going strong. And we're as relaxed as Jacob Rees-Mogg stretched out across the benches in the House of Commons. None of this turmoil is going to affect Jon Wilkin and Mark Flanagan, owners of multiple properties, flashy Rolexes, and climate-changing 4x4s. Not a single fuck given by two self-proclaimed working-class heroes. The days of John's pig farming in Hull, long behind him as he turns left to jet across the Atlantic, munching on caviar and pretentious prawn sandwiches with his Olympian wife, the posh and Becks of rugby league. With Mark's ego and alter ego too big to allow him to remain in his hometown of sunny Saddleworth with the good folk who've stood by him from the beginning through thick and thin. Part-time podcasters, part-time sportsmen, the Pablo Escobars of the northern coffee industry, both too big for their boots, but these boots are made for walking, and that's just what they'll do. One of these days, these boots are going to walk all over you. Good to see you guys.
That was good. That was one of your best.
Well done, Will. Well done.
How are we?
What a way with the English language you have.
By the way, how is Brexit going to affect rugby league, John?
How is it? I think Catalan Dragons and Toulouse,
Could be in trouble.
it may well...
It'll help them, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but I don't know. It'll affect them in some way.
Because
It'll affect us all in some way, won't it?
Do you reckon it's something everyone's thinking about? Or is it just kind of, well...
No, I'm going to quote Mark Percival, who plays for St Helens. He voted for Brexit because there was an assumption that there was a mosque being built in Widnes, and he said that had been campaigned against and he'd read about it, and so therefore he voted Brexit. He hasn't connected the dots. The mosque? No, to make sure there was no more development of
the mosque?
Yes.
Wow.
Can he read, Percy?
No, he can't read, but he
Someone
got a vote.
read it out to him and showed him pictures.
This is the problem. He had a chance to vote.
Right.
Mark Percival voting on any major political sort of platform is a problem. Is a real problem.
But I mean, there are many Mark Percivals out there. So what we're saying is, don't give the idiots the vote. Is that what you're
Well,
trying to
just
say?
govern. If you're gonna be a government, govern us, because we are blissfully unaware. As you've pointed out, we're working class heroes. Well,
Well, not so much these days.
no.
Glorified entertainers.
Yeah.
Glorified entertainer. Changed a little bit, haven't you, from when it all started?
Well, without doubt, I'm more bitter.
You wouldn't have worn that hat, would you, for example?
Cynical. I would have worn this hat.
Well, 15 years ago, you wouldn't have had the confidence to have worn that hat.
Yes, I would. I've always worn jaunty.
Yeah, he has always worn
I've always been a
headwear.
jaunty dresser, Will. I've not conformed.
And for those,
Maybe the beard, the goatee beard might be a bit different though. That's a new progression, isn't it?
for those not watching, I always like to give a bit of imagery because there are a lot of people who just listen.
Paint a picture for the
sort of last of
listeners.
the summer wine, compo, but slightly cooler, slightly edgier.
It's called green grass.
It's called compo.
What was green grass at Harvey?
Greengrass was the tall fella, I think.
It was Heartbeat.
Was he scruffy as well?
Yeah, that's the wrong programme.
It was
Talking about last of the
scruffy.
summer wine. Yeah, scruffy but cool.
Yeah.
How good was it on Last of the Summer Wine? That couple that always cycled off to have a bit of nookie over a wall.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that was and then old Compo tried to get the old bird as well, and she kept brushing him away with a actual
Nora
brush.
Batty, I think you find
Nora
her name.
Batty. Nora Batty. Do you know what? If someone had said to me at the beginning of the season that both of you idiots would be involved in the playoffs, I would have eaten another hat.
You thought
No,
just
you
one
wouldn't.
idiot.
Yeah, I would have.
It would have been out. That's not an out. No, you wouldn't.
I would have eaten
It's not an
another hat.
outrageous thing. You would have assumed we were going to be in the playoffs in
Well,
the championship.
he's always
said
assumed a
both
soul
of
for
you.
the shit, haven't you?
So,
Yeah.
so I said, if both of you were going to be in the playoffs.
Do you think that deeply about rugby that you have an opinion on anything?
Yeah, I have an opinion on this because I thought we're like you.
No, but what you've got is a negative.
What do you think about
This is
Salford?
staring up a negative comment about
Well,
me.
what
and
I'm trying to say, Mark, is congratulations.
Exactly.
Thank you.
There we go. That's it.
Seriously, I'm proud of you.
It's not all me. A lot of it, but not all.
You can take a little bit of credit, or
Yeah.
yeah.
Won our
How have
last
you
7.
done it?
It's a good question. A couple of months ago, I thought it'd be a struggle to get in the top 5. I was probably looking to book my holidays at the end of the season.
Off anywhere fancy like
No,
Chalmers off
just
to Peru?
Ponting somewhere local with a little one.
Low key.
But yeah, we've been brilliant this last couple of months. We've got a fully fit team, which is a big help. Everyone's doing the job. We've got a well-balanced side, I think. We've got a lot of grafters in the middle and some match winners. And we've probably got the best player in the comp in Jackson Hastings, who's been playing really well. And we've got a way of playing that suits his style of play. And I think when you go on a run, it becomes a habit, doesn't it? You kind of always find a way to win. So played Leeds at the weekend. there was a time when they scored and they were all over us, but because we've just been winning and just finding a way to get out of our half and finding a way to defend our line, there was just a resilience there that we've not had for a long time.
That's always the way in rugby league. When you win games, you defend well, and when you're defending well, you give yourself an opportunity to win games, and then it becomes, well, have we got the tools to break a team down? Well, Salford have got Krisnan Inu, centre who's been brilliant, and you were saying about your backfield's getting you into the right position. Jackson Hastings is a match winner. So if you defend well, then all of a sudden you're in games, and then you end up winning games that you shouldn't. And it always boils down to that. And when you review a game, for people who don't know, when you play a game, you review it, you'll look at maybe your defensive clips and your attacking clips. And when you're always positively reinforcing defensive messages and this is how we defend and congratulating people for doing something, it's amazing how quickly people come on board to start buying into it and doing it themselves.
Yeah.
Can you believe it though, John, where they are?
12 weeks ago, Will, I agree with you. I just thought,
no chance.
At the start of the season, I was probably, it wouldn't have blown my mind that Salford were there, but 12 weeks ago I was like, I just can't see how Salford can get from where they are to be competing, and actually not just competing, probably one of the form teams.
Yeah.
In terms of how they're playing.
And to put it into context, we beat Warrington 3 times this year.
Yeah.
We beat Hull away a few weeks ago. Even when we've lost narrowly to Wigan twice. Saints, we've been in 2 tough games with. So it's not like we've had 7 games against so-called lesser teams.
And that's all because you're defending well.
Yeah.
You've been in games, really competitive games, because of how you're defending. I think they're quite a mobile team, Salford. A lot of leg speed. They're not cumbersome. They're not clumsy, but really efficient defensively. There's something in that, because if you watch the NRL, for anybody who watches rugby league, if you watch the NRL now, teams are really efficient with how they defend. I'd say they're smaller than the packs in the NRL are smaller than they ever have been, I believe, in the history of the game.
And Saints are a great example as well. They played against us last year, and I think after the match they must have weighed each player just to see how much fluid they'd lost in the game. And they had some of the body weights of the players, and there was only 1 or 2 players above 100 kilos. But they all rely on speed and just getting really quick players with great acceleration, getting them on the front foot and using that speed and power to drive them downfield, rather than the old cumbersome 18-stone prop who kind of just rolls forward. They've just used speed as their major asset.
And that's the evolution of the game right there. Is that you can't be big and play rugby league anymore.
No. Really?
Well, you can, but you've got to be big and very fit.
Yeah.
And that combination actually is a very rare one. So the big lads who are fit are probably the most dangerous players.
Players in general are getting smaller.
Yeah, I think they're getting lighter. It's different because rugby union is quite interesting. The difference in trend in rugby union, players are getting bigger and bigger, and there's a never-ending stream of 6'5", 125 kilo blokes with dead specific jobs.
Yeah.
Whereas rugby league, the big difference is there's a huge aerobic element to what we do. So you just can't be that big and be competent.
And that's where but there's bigger breaks in the game, so you can have more power athletes that get recovery every time there's a scrum or a line out or a penalty. They get a couple of minutes break, so they can be more powerful and just have massive exertions of that power when they're carrying the ball, and they don't need to be as aerobic as the league lads.
How good is it for Super League that Salford are in the playoffs?
It's great, I think.
You'd say that,
Yeah.
but no,
No,
in general.
but I think it is.
That wasn't a cynical.
How many teams have won the Super League? Leeds,
4.
Saints, Wigan, Bradford.
4.
So the fact we need more winners, but we need more teams in the mixing pot at the end of the season.
But it's a step in the right direction, isn't it, for that? Surely you want to break up that obvious top 4 or 5 structure.
Of course, that's why the salary cap, which John discusses quite a bit, and we've kind of mentioned it might be a time to knock it on the head. But that was the whole reason why it was brought in. It was like the NFL at the minute. The NRL in Australia, it should level out the playing field and distribute talent.
But in a competition where 6 teams make the playoffs, if there's 4 that have won it, then there's only going to be 2 extra to that list every year. There's going to be 2 teams that are extra to that list.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's, when you say is it good for the game, I'm indifferent to it. It's just part of the story of this year. Salford have done well relative to maybe where they were predicted to finish, but it's not like a landmark occasion for the game where everyone sits back.
Well,
and
it would be
wow,
if they won it.
If we won it, yeah.
Wow, Salford have made the playoffs.
Is it beyond the realms of possibility that they could win the grand final?
No.
I don't think so, but I don't think they will.
It's unlikely, isn't it? But
It's
I mean,
unlikely.
that would be a game changer.
In what sense?
Well, in the sense that it would be one of the biggest shocks in the history of the sport.
Yeah, I think
But
it'd get
it wouldn't
column
change the
inches.
game.
It'd get column
It
inches.
would
What
be a massive news story, but nothing would change in terms of the way clubs operate, I don't think, or the way the competition operates.
No, I didn't mean it like that in terms
Alright.
of the salary cap and all that sort of stuff. I mean, we've talked about this before. I don't understand. What was the reason you gave me when we talked about it last year? Some stage.
salary cap?
No, as in I've never understood why you guys couldn't do a sort of 1 to 12 reverse, or like in the NFL, Cincinnati, Cleveland Browns finish bottom of the
A
conference,
draft, you mean?
and they get the first pick on players in terms of contracts up and players like that.
Yeah, but yeah,
Would that not work?
no,
Never.
no,
Culturally, it's so different.
no. I just don't think we need to do that. We always
Otherwise,
try
we're going to be in the
yeah,
same
but we
format.
copy America all the time. So Leeds Rhinos, Bradford Bulls, that whole era where we attached a
Wildcats.
a really aggressive animal to a team. 'cause
They're not the names. I'm just talking about the actual structure.
yeah, no, but
of how
what I'm
they
saying
sign
is that
players.
whole principle. I'd actually go as far to say let's withdraw from that completely.
Right.
Like I like the playoffs. I like the structure of the playoffs. But let's take away the stupid animal names. Let's not try and subscribe to all those. You know, the
Would the marketing department not have something to say about that?
yeah, but I'm not a marketeer.
Yeah,
so
but
if they want
they
to do
want to sell the
what they do-
tickets.
What happened to Ronnie the Rhino?
Well, exactly. Who?
What happened to Johnny Lomax?
If
What
is
you,
this, Johnny Lomax's
if you say
sister?
Leeds Rhinos to somebody who doesn't know anything about rugby league, what indication is there within that title that that's a rugby team? None. If it was just Leeds
Are
rugby,
Rhinos good at rugby? Winos and Wugby?
Leeds rugby, St Helens rugby. That's
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
Then all of a
So
sudden-
they
But we
use the
had that-
mascot
we
to
had
kind
that
of
for-
embrace the younger audience
I'm
and
not
kids.
bothered about the mascot. I'm not bothered.
Let's talk about mascots.
But we had 30 years of that before the animals came in.
Yeah, but what have the animals done for us? Will? What have the animals done for us?
I don't know.
Really
you tell
aggressive,
me.
endangered animals being attached to Super League teams is a real.
Are they all
proven
They're
endangered?
not
fact.
all dangerous, are they?
Well, okay, animals. It's not
Yeah.
working.
St Helens don't even have an animal.
It's not. It's
That's
not.
why they're
you
doing so
can't
well.
attach.
Maybe that's why they're doing so.
That's
well.
why they're successful.
You
They've not got a
cannot
mascot.
possibly attach the
Yeah.
Super League era, the modern Super League era,
Yeah.
the like rebranding of teams with it being a successful part of the game's history. If anything, the game's is a fantastic.
Who, it just got me
product.
thinking.
Which is
now,
your
who would-
favourite mascot?
Well, who would win in a fight between a giant or a wolf?
But ironically, the giant is quite stumpy.
So the wolf would get it.
Yeah. Like I said, the scary thing is that's grown men and women dressed as.
Have you ever seen the
mascots.
Dewsbury Ram?
No.
It's quite. When I played a match when I was about 17, 18 against Dewsbury when I was at Bradford in a friendly. But it was quite a docile ram, so he just like meander around and he'd wave. But he always looked really sad.
Placid, just chewing grass
Yeah.
in the
Does-
background.
And my mum felt really sorry for him. She thought that ram looks sad.
Does
Depressed.
Dr. Devil
Depressed ram.
does Dr. Devil still have Marwan Kukash's face?
No, that got whipped off as soon as he left.
So who is? It's still the same costume, but
Yeah.
without the
It's
without
not
the
been
goatee.
washed all season, so when you go near him, he stinks.
Before Marwan Kukash came in,
Was it a
were you
Dr. Devil?
Salford City Reds? Or something? Was that before Kukash?
Yeah, they've been
But,
Yeah, they've always been the
did the
Devil.
Devil? Did
The Devils were
Kukash
Super
bring the
League.
Devil?
They were City
Super
Reds,
League's always
and
been the
then-
Devils.
No, they were City Reds for a
They were
bit.
City Reds.
But they, have they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think
Sorry.
rebranding
1-0 me.
the last bit really matters a great deal.
No, but what I'm asking is, did Kukash bring the Devil with him?
I think he wanted to be
That's
a
a whole
devil,
other
didn't he?
podcast, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
He wanted to be a
Welcome
devil.
to episode 8.
Absolutely.
Did Marwan Kukash bring the Devil with him?
I think he put the Doctor in front of the devil
Yeah.
for the mascot. That was what it, and the goatee.
Overall, though, this structure, and we'll get on to Toronto in a minute,
Yeah.
but has it all gone down pretty well? This whole 5-team
Well,
structure,
the-
one up, one down?
The ironic thing is, we did the 8s, so the change to 3 8s.
Yeah.
The whole purpose of that was to provide like jeopardy and consequences, you know, where teams might go up or down. Well, the ironic thing is, we're near the end of the year, and there's 4 teams that could go down.
Which is great, which is
Yeah.
great.
No, but it's kind of the same.
Yeah.
The ironic thing is, we changed to get away from this, like.
Yeah.
But it's
structure.
happened naturally,
No,
which
it's
is a great
natural.
thing.
Well,
So-
my
so-
point is, Will,
Yeah.
sometimes overcomplicating things is irrelevant. There's no random control group to say, well, actually, if we just ran the league, 4 teams might well go down.
Yeah.
There's this assumption that the worst team goes down, the best team wins, and everyone else in the middle is like left, scratching their ass for 6
And
weeks.
in terms of the jeopardy that it wanted, it couldn't have gone any better.
No.
Because they've not had to change the structure. It's just organically meant that the last 2 months have been so many teams in a dogfight at the bottom, and it's just come to the last game of the season where there's 4 teams that could go down.
So it's weird that we're more interested in that, though, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I want to ask you. That's a really interesting conversation.
Got it like,
Yeah, no, but it's negative. The negative consequences are more interesting in life than positive ones, aren't they?
No, but okay, look at it from a Super League point of view, and this may be a stupid question, but what would
it usually is when you start with?
But what would they prefer? Would they prefer? Because me on the outside and your average Joe just looking from the outside, or a
Very
neutral,
average,
or someone very average Joe. How did Joe get the name average Joe? That's another debate.
It's a very average.
It's about
name.
being ordinary.
It's a middle name, isn't it?
I would look at it and think, brilliant. 4 teams can go down, 1 game to go. That's drama. That's what we want. But however, Super League will not want that, will they? Because they want to protect the clubs, and the clubs can't do their recruitment. That uncertainty is not good for the league, is it?
So what's the alternative? Is franchising and having a sealed?
No, exactly. But what I'm saying is, like this situation now. Super League want to protect these clubs, don't they? They want to protect their recruitment for the off-season.
Bullshit. I think it's better.
Or do they want the drama? Do they purely want the drama?
Whichever 3 teams survive, they know that they've got to be on the game next year if they don't want to be involved in that dogfight again. So they're going to recruit hard. They're going to.
But does that recruitment, has that not already started and half have been done already?
It has.
That's what I mean.
London have released half their squad,
and they could stay up.
Yeah.
That's
so
my
London,
point.
But they'll still recruit players.
Yeah. But then London going to next year,
will struggle
if
more.
they stay up. Will be in a worse
and
position.
Would that not damage a couple of seasons of that? Would damage?
Well, I think if we're going to talk about structure, I think the structure needs to change. I'd go for 3 leagues of 10.
Can't keep changing.
No, I'd go for three leagues of 10. I'd abolish the salary cap. I'd place sustainability measures on all competitions. So you must prove that you have the equity or liquidity to support your commitments. And what I'd do is allow franchise operations to enter at that bottom level. And when you enter at the bottom level, like New York or Ottawa or Coventry or whatever, then if you're an owner, say like Marwan Kukash came in at Salford and he was all razzmatazz and he came in and 1 season at the top level, tried to spend all his money to recruit a team in a short period of time, got it wrong, got it badly wrong, and then basically he's gone. But he's a wealthy guy, and if he'd have had the opportunity to come in at the bottom level, make some mistakes, learn, at least 2 years of recruiting players before he can get into Super League, where the cap is open, I think that does the due diligence of the game for it by showing a commitment of a couple of years.
Who's going down?
My gut, right, and this is way off if you look at all the evidence that supports this, I think Huddersfield could go down.
Well, for Huddersfield to go down, they need London to win and Hull KR to win.
Yes. But I believe...
I think London will go down. But if Wakefield weren't in the playoff, in the relegation mix, I think they would have put the queue in the rack and London would beat them this weekend. But because they've been dragged back down into it, I think Wakefield will beat London and they'll go down. Yeah. But
that's probably odds on to happen.
It's been amazing how well they've done this year. I'm not meaning to be condescending to London or the coaching staff or the playing group, but they probably weren't the best team in the Championship last year. Toronto played really well and accrued the most points and were the form team all year, and they've not really made that many signings since then. They've made a few bits here and there. So to have a team that weren't the dominant side in the Championship to be knocking off all teams this year and perform so well and be in every game and battling and so much energy and so much will to win, I think they've been amazing.
And be in the mix now at this stage.
Yeah, exactly.
They're the example of workmanlike, mobile forwards that we were talking about. The reason Salford are doing well now is that's London. They're just workmanlike in every sense, and that gives them the opportunity to win games when really, if you're not mentally strong enough to defend and to have attitude and application.
Yeah. And they've got that in abundance, haven't they?
Yeah, they have.
Do they offer Super League enough?
Yes. London?
Yeah.
I think having London in the competition is massive.
Why?
Because as an outsider, Will, if you start reeling off names, and I'll tell you now, in the streets of Toronto, if I was chatting to a fan, and if I said Castleford's coming to town, it means nothing or little difference to if I said Batley's coming to town. Or Whitehaven's coming to town. It's still a town in England they've never heard of. If I said to them, right, we're playing London at the weekend,
what would they say? Whoa!
They go, holy shit, we're coming.
Well, then
but are they developing? I take that point. Obviously, it's a huge name having the word London in front of your team.
It is.
But are they developing enough to actually just
Well, they've
be
massively
sustainable? I don't know. Is the fan base growing? Is the
right? David Hughes, as the owner of London, for people who don't know, has put in millions and millions and millions of his pounds of his own money.
What's he in it for?
Loves it.
Just the love.
He loves rugby. He's probably got an ego.
He'd be good to get on the
He
show.
likes to.
Let's get him on.
You know, he likes to be attached with a sports club.
Yeah.
But you can't sniff at how much money he's put into getting London into Super League. And the crazy thing about the current setup is probably if they go down, like it's such a hard task then
to get back up.
to cut your cloth and strip it back and then
Yeah.
to get back up. It's difficult.
And now, Mark and John, time for our special guest of the week.
Very special.
Very special in many
Very, very
ways.
special.
Once described by John Keir as like tackling scaffolding being shot out of a cannon.
Yes.
Has anybody ever done that out of interest? Because how could you ever compare something like it's the most ridiculous?
John Keir's done it then, hasn't he?
John Keir's just stood in front of a cannon, like just tiny
Special
little
guest, if
ball
you could just
man in
refrain
front of a
from
cannon.
using any words at the moment, because I'd like to...
The cannon's quite a medieval instrument, and
So
scaffolding's
John
quite
Keir
modern.
went back to medieval England, took
Get a
scaffolding with him in the time machine, and then he fired that scaffolding at himself.
And his
went,
DeLorean.
oh, that's just like tackling Alex Walmsley, something like which John Keir has never done. Has John Keir
So
ever
you're calling
tackled?
John Keir a liar?
He's a liar. He's a liar and a fraud. I call him out right now.
Well, what we're going to do here is I thought we would just get our special guest to read a poem. I wrote a poem for him. Well, it's not a poem. It's not a poem at all. It's a story. Short story. Very short story.
Do you know what, I can see where this is going already.
It's a few lines.
I'm just going
to come round to our guest.
We're at now, aren't we?
John, if you could just sort of you could just commentate, John, on what's going on.
Will is walking towards Alex.
Yeah.
Oh, I've announced our guest.
I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to do this. So
No,
I'm not going to do this. I'm just out of spite.
do
It's
a
just
line.
principle.
Come on, it's just a short story.
It's very short, but I'm
do a
not
line.
going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Not a chance.
Don't let the team down.
What team? I'm not part of this team. I've been welcomed in. We found out before, just before we started airing, that I'm not getting paid. The other guest on this podcast has been paid.
No. We're not sure if you're getting paid.
That was going to ridicule me on not paying me.
Alex, we're not sure if you're getting paid.
We'll pay you out of our own pocket.
Oh, I'd rather not be paid. I'd rather not. 100%. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to pass you that back.
Alex passes Will the iPad. So Will has.
What have you prepared?
Will, in all his wisdom as a host of a podcast, has decided as his first move to try and offend the guest.
Put me on the show.
As
He's
a
about
rule,
the good of his own heart.
Butter me up a little bit.
yeah.
Give me a couple of compliments.
What it was a really nice, story about
my lack of ability to say my R's, and sometimes it come out as a
which is a very nasty way to introduce you as a guest, Alex. Can we before we
Will's absolutely
before we go any further, can we get to the bottom of is it Alex Walmsley or Walmsley?
It's not, yeah.
Is it?
I'm 29 years old. I'm trying to work it out myself.
Yeah, true.
Is it Walmsley?
It's Wormsley. It's Wormsley according to certain people.
What was he called?
It was
Louis
Stagg,
mate
wasn't it?
from Purdham.
Purdham.
Yeah, Andy Purdham. Got him.
Wormslaw.
Wormsley.
We're on a stag do. Andy Purdham.
I mean, roticism is not something we should actually take lightly, because I mean, a lot of people listening, watching, Alex.
A lot of people.
Well, many
So it's
people.
pretty rare, isn't it?
Roticism.
I'd
Is
say
it?
1 in 1,000, maybe.
No, it's
My
quite-
missus struggles.
Does she?
Yeah.
What with?
She does actually.
She calls him.
No, with her own R's.
Her own R's.
Yeah.
Which I tease her about.
It's ironic that it's called roticism as well, isn't it? The fact that what is the
I
problem?
think what you're doing is persisting with a theme of a conversation that hasn't gone the way you thought it would.
No.
Because
I did think Alex was going to read
because
it.
of Alex's resistance to read the poem, and now what you're doing is looking at me to confirm whether it's ironic that roticism is a thing.
Is this
when in realism, what you've done is you've just absolutely
realism.
he's Mickey McLaurin you in the first scrum.
He's mugged you off.
Hasn't he?
You missed the Mickey McLaurin story, but you have a listen back, Alex, and you'll hear that one. Alex, apart from that, great to have you here.
Oh, he's scared.
Are you glad
now.
to be here? I'm not scared. He's a nice guy. We had a nice chat before. It was pantomime.
Yeah, but that what you did there is you
put him on
softened
show.
him. And you thought, oh, Alex, he's
Trying to
coming.
I thought he was
And then
going to
you
read
attack-
it.
And then what you did is
It took me
attack
hours to
him.
write that.
Put him, embarrassed him. Do you want to read the first couple of lines
No,
just so we can see what it is?
Okay, go on then. It's Friday in Rwanda and it's raining. Ronald the rhinoceros ran into a rather treacherous set of rapids. His mother Rita gave him a right royal rollicking.
Do you know what, Will?
Ronald, she raged, refrain from running in those rapids, you rascal. But Rita's reprimand was ignored. Ronald died in the rapids. The end.
Will, I've just had this horrible thought of you spending an hour of your life writing that story.
Anyway. There was good substance to it. Do you know
There was.
I feel bad. I do feel bad because I felt... No, I don't feel bad.
No, you don't.
But now anything I ask you, you're not
glad.
going to take seriously, are you? But do you know what we want to talk about with Alex, John? Because you suggested this as well.
Yeah,
It's a good topic. This is serious now, Alex.
Right.
The joke is gone out of the pack. Your route, and that is not the play on another.
Is every hour going to be followed by an apology?
Yeah.
Your journey.
Yeah.
John loves that word.
We're all on
To the
journey.
top, because you are at the top and at the top of the league, as it stands. It's been a very different one, hasn't it? John, that's fair to say, isn't it?
I think when you discuss like people's sort of careers and how it develops, like everybody's embryonic sort of stage in the career is different, you know. And one thing I found really interesting from Alex's sort of career is that he came at it maybe around instead of a straight path. It was more of focus on your education, more of it was maybe a secondary thing that you were doing, and I find that interesting because I sometimes think that produces much more rounded professionals, which is a way of me complimenting Alex, and saying how you've approached being a professional sportsman is refreshing, really.
Yeah, I think for me, we want a sort of a secondary route. Being a professional rugby player wasn't a viable option to me until I was a professional rugby league player. Coming through academy levels, and at a younger age, I wasn't at an ability where I'd been given an opportunity. So it wasn't something I'd ever pursue or wanted to pursue.
So you were naturally like a late bloomer.
Yeah,
but it just coincided with your degree and your education.
I've basically been gifted with being tall and awkward, and I've made that to
Socially awkward.
Socially awkward as well. But I'm not the most skillful of players. You can battle it. When I first came to the club, I couldn't play the ball. Catching it was a mission in itself, and then getting down and getting tackled to play the ball was an issue of mine, and that was just because I'd never gone through academy level where you learn these sort of basic core skills. What every other professional player takes for granted, I'd never been taught them. So I sort of got back to learn them on the job kind of thing, which it worked out in the end for me. But
do you have desires then back then to play Super League? Were you not really that interested? Did someone have to drag it out of you and go, look, you can do this?
No, I enjoyed playing amateur rugby and I enjoyed playing university. I enjoyed playing with my mates, and I think when you enjoy doing something, you naturally seem to do well at it.
So true, yeah.
And I got to a point when I was playing well, and for me, when I went to Batley, I got offered a trial at Batley. But when I went to Batley, the first thing I said was that I'm not just going to come here, I want to train with my mates. I'm not just going to sort of jump at this opportunity and throw all my eggs into this basket. I still want to make sure I'm doing what I do, which is enjoy, which is playing rugby with my mates and having a drink after. And that was where my whole ethos of rugby league was based around. I was going to university, I was going to be a quantity surveyor, and I was playing rugby on a weekend, and that was fine for me. And then this opportunity arose, and when you sort of get a taste of it, that's when it's sort of like a drug, you become addicted, and that's when you want it to work, and it worked for me.
So you were doing a degree then, sorry. Have you got that degree?
Yeah.
So you are a qualified quantity surveyor?
I've got a degree in quantity surveying.
But you'd have to do like a top-up.
I wouldn't have a clue how to do it. Not anymore.
Really?
Not
interested in that anymore?
No, I couldn't go from being in this environment now into that environment. I don't think I could do it. Yeah.
What a great backup to have, though, if you did need to go and do something.
But he's just announced to everybody that he can't do the job.
You can't do this.
So
you're not capable of doing
it.
What, just because it was so long ago, 10 years ago, whatever?
Yeah, I've been out. It's like anything. If you don't do something for so long, you learn. You don't know how to do it. And, you forget how to do the basic skills of it.
Do you know what I find interesting about what Alex's development and other people's. I came probably a similar route to you, you know, education, playing semi-professional and then into the professional game. But I find like Super League clubs will put 10,000 hours of practice into young players, specifically, you know, who they've highlighted. And I just wonder how many times as a sport we get that wrong. How many times sport gets that wrong. You know, invest all of this time and energy in somebody when, for whatever reason, physically suited to the game, there's somebody who's not playing it, who with a little bit of encouragement and who could be so much better. And the reason I bring that up is I think football naturally absorbs and churns all of our young athletic male talent. You know, soccer, it tends to just absorb all of those people. And I just wonder how many people like yourself, Alex, who've
missed it.
Who've just missed that first part of like getting on the train, and then.
But the one thing it doesn't coach is resilience, and that's what some of those kids will never have because they've been mollycoddled all the junior career, having all this coaching and scholarships, whereas they've never had hardship or they've never had to go against the odds, which is something that Alex has done.
Did you like the way that you've come into the sport as such? I know that sounds like
it's something I'm proud of because I haven't like you know, similar to yourself, you haven't been given these opportunities as 14, 15, 16-year-old where you play at academy level and you get taught by really good coaches when you learn all these skills and that. So for me to have gone around the way I have done and made it to the position I am, then it's something I'm quite proud of, to be honest, and it's something I can hang my hat on and say, yeah, I didn't need all these hours of coaching and things like that. You know, enough for me was just playing and training and enjoying it, and that was enough for me. And in the end, it got to me where I am.
It's an interesting discussion of that, isn't it? Like that academy chat in terms, because it almost just ridicules the structure of an academy, doesn't it?
No, I don't think it does. I think what it does is, right, there's a route to market for rugby players, and the most obvious route to market if you want to play for St Helens is to join their academy and then go through that system. But I think as a sport, we're mad if we think that's the only way to get world-class rugby players, because Alex is world-class. He's not just developed into a domestic player. He's probably in the top 5 or 6 players in his position in the world.
Which is incredible that you were playing in front of 200 people about 7 years ago.
And he's not come, but this is the interesting thing, is he's not come through that pathway. So when I think about Alex, I think that how many of those opportunities have we missed? Do you know, as a sport? Like, do we need to look in different places? Do we need to, you know, be more... Do we know what we want as a sport from a young person? And I'm not sure we do.
I think for me, we play a sport what's so simple, but we overcomplicate. Ultimately, I think somewhat you said there, Flash, it's resilience. And often I've found, and I don't think it's every single case, but it's never the best kid who seems to make it. And I'm not saying he's been mollycoddled, but if you're being told all your life you're the best in the team, you're the greatest, then you probably don't push yourself as hard. And it's a very simple game we play. And it comes down to probably a little bit more resilience and mental toughness in it. And it's, especially where the game's played now with reduced subs and shot clocks and how quick it is, it's often a team who cracks first who tends to lose. And
that's mental, isn't it? That's whoever's mentally toughest.
Well, then what is resilience? Is an ability to overcome adversity or to deal with adversity well and then approach it again the next time in the same way. But Alex's point there is, if as a young person you never have to deal with adversity, you never have to develop resilience, then where does that resilience come from? You know, and our academy,
you can't coach them.
And do our academy systems actually push against building resilience?
You can still have resilience if you're not put in those situations, though. You can still have it, but it's just when it's unlocked,
I disagree.
or when you're put in a situation where you have to kind of show your true colours.
Well, I disagree. I think that your resilience comes through hardship. Like, you need to experience hardship to be resilient, genuinely resilient.
Did that happen to you?
And it can be emotional hardship, it can be physical hardship.
I think everyone's had hardships. I think life's a series of downs, innit? It's just how you cope with them. And, you know, and everyone goes through tough patches and it's how you deal with it and you come out the other end. I think everyone's got their own story. I've got stories. I always think back to Jon, and Jon's probably the most hard-working player I've played with. I've seen him, you know, training and playing and things like that. And, you know, you grew up on a farm. And how many hours a day did you do helping your dad in, as a young kid growing up, and it's something you've
But he
talked
never
to me
mentions it.
about.
That's the great thing about it.
Yeah, we didn't know he was a pig
It's
farmer.
a very humble,
Very humble pig farmer. Yeah. Never mentions it. Never mentions it.
I think it comes off the back of it, and it's obviously there's a lot of life lessons and how you come through it. Everyone in our game runs the same players, but it's just who runs them better, who runs them harder, who's more tough, and who don't want to give up easier. And I think a lot of it boils down to the person rather than the ability.
And
not that I've got any
but
of that
there's
either.
certain tests in the game, right? So we do physical tests all the time, don't we? Right, how much can you bench press? And that gets written down. What score do you get in the yo-yo test or the bleep test or a running test? But there's things we don't measure in sport. Durability, resilience, cognitive ability, the ability to make decisions when fatigued. Like, all of those things actually are the ingredients that I see separate out players. And I just wonder whether we're looking in the right areas for guys. Do you know
I think that's going to be the next development of, well, not just rugby league, but sport, is that decision making. Because there's going to become a time where every team's got the same kind of athletes, the same size, the same speed, the same stamina, but it's the decisions under pressure which good players make and then good players don't make, which will be the difference between good teams and bad teams. And I reckon there's such a massive opportunity for some way of training those decision making into different activities.
I don't think you can train that. I
think that comes through experience.
It comes through,
So if you do,
you've got to be out on the field and playing, and that's where you come up with the right decisions.
Or maybe like a virtual reality mask.
Yeah.
And you can
Well,
just run like a 3v2.
I'm pretty sure I can think of better uses for the virtual reality.
Like what?
Place.
Like a three up.
Like if you're in Toronto and your wife's in London, something like that.
How many wives have
You're
you
very
got?
lazily getting to the end of my suggestion, but that's fine.
Well, it's exactly what you were thinking.
Very lazily. Yeah.
No.
Is that what you
Is
did?
that it? Let's talk about Justin Holbrook, because I don't know why I said Oldbrook like a Cockney, because that's not how I speak.
Justin Holbrook.
Justin Oldbrook.
It is a good.
I
I
What a
saw
great
Justin the other
name.
day actually at a City game, Man City game
City.
against Brighton. He was just behind me. He was like, "You alright? How you doing?" That was it.
Do you remember?
You love. He name drops one person.
I think
every
name
week.
dropping, is it?
He name dropped Adam Peaty the other week for no reason.
You
Talked
introduced
about
me
him
to him
10
actually at Spotty, and we had a night on the piss, so you remember me from that. There we go.
Did, yeah. Well done.
He's leaving.
Yeah.
Is it huge? Is it huge for Saints that he's going? Is he? Obviously, everyone's replaceable, but like with the time that he's had there, can that legacy last?
I think so. I think what Justin's done is put us in a position now where we're in a good spot. I think when he first come on board and John will be able to back this up, it was quite a toxic place at the time. That there was a big separation of the fans and the club. The town is all rugby league, and it was such a toxic place to play at the time for whatever reasons. And there was a big divide there, and what Justin's done is brought the community back together, and I think that's
just going back there, what I know kind of, what were those main reasons why it was so divided
Well,
before Justin came?
I can help expand on that. Is that at the time there was like a lack of acknowledgement of responsibility from the coaching and playing environment, and then there was a difference of opinion of how the game should be played from the fans. And instead of pulling the fans in, the club, I believe, almost became scared of the fans. It was like, well, we don't want to upset the fans, and kept the two things very separate. And Justin was so smart to come in. He went, look, win or lose, we get it wrong, we get it right. We need to close that gap, and he's done. Yeah. There's loads of ways he's done it.
Yeah, and you'd think the fans wouldn't have a bearing on the team, but I think if you've got the home place as such a good environment to play at, then it's going to make. We've been unbeaten all year at home. And I think a lot of it comes down to we wanting to play at home again. There was a time where I think our away record was a lot better than his own because we didn't want to play at home. It was just such
there is pressure playing in such a melting pot of fans and pressure and
the period
expectation.
Alex talks about, there was a tangible feeling of negativity in the air, wasn't there?
Yeah, and us as players, we sense that, and we've probably underperformed. Not as that as your own excuse, but it's hard to sort of perform at a high level when there wasn't it wasn't a nice place to play at. And I think that's not. I'm not saying the fans shouldn't have been disgruntled at the time. We was playing a standard of rugby which wasn't good enough for the club we was playing at. But what Justin's done is, you look back to that year, and Cass was by far the best team in the competition, and he pinpointed that and he said, why are they the best team? Because he was enjoying what they was doing. They was enjoying training. You could tell they was enjoying playing. a happy fighter is a dangerous fighter. So at that time when he come on board, we was all in a very frustrated camp. We was angry, we was angry as a team. We was angry about how we were playing. We was frustrated, and all he did was just moved us into a happy environment. And it sounds so cliche and simple, but
well, it wasn't far off a seamless transition, wasn't it? It wasn't he hit the road running.
But that was
phrase. But John always describes it as his simplicity that makes him so great. That's the way John has said that 100 times, hasn't he, Mark? That's what makes Justin that he makes things so simple and compares him to. When you read Sir Alex Ferguson books and people talking about Sir Alex, the great coaches do that. Do you find that?
Yeah. And,
why is that so effective for players?
I don't know. It's let's just get everyone happy. Let's get everyone doing the right things again. There was probably too many excuses at the time on how I was performing. There was probably a big blame culture. I feel at the time, a big blame culture. There wasn't much responsibility and ownership taken on as a squad and individual players. We got that right. Well, start looking after your own job and your own stuff.
Was that? No, he was big on that, getting rid of the blame culture.
If everyone does the right thing and does what they're supposed to do, then it's seamless.
Yeah, if everyone has a clear job
role
role and executes it, you're on a good route.
That sounds so simple.
But it does. But when you're struggling, everyone wants to have an opinion on somebody else's job, or they take on too much responsibility because they don't trust other people.
The consequences of not having clarity on what you're doing at a sporting level, at the top level, are huge. Whereas day-to-day life, if your job is right, you go to your computer, type this out, print it out over there. That can occupy your mind.
It's not always quite what an office job is like, Joe.
Well, look, I'm simplifying something, but what I'm trying to say is, in a sports environment, if you've not got clarity and the decision making is 200ths of a second to make a choice, if you're not clear about what you should do, that thought of even thinking about what you should do is in the wrong place. When you go back to the very basics of rugby league, actually what Justin did is reduce the amount of time our players spent thinking. At the very core of it, he stopped you thinking, because he didn't want us to think. He wanted us to be clear in an action, and then once your mind's clear, that's when you can make choices.
And some players don't want to think. Percy is the best instinct player I've seen for 10, 15 years, because he just gets the ball and just sees space, and whatever's natural to him, he does. But him thinking is bad news, isn't it?
Well, there's a book by who's a Marine called Josh Willink, and it's called Extreme Ownership. And if you read that, when I read that, like, something went off in my mind, because it made me realise that people assume creativity comes from disorder. People who are creative are disordered and unstructured. But what the military do and what the Marines do is they train discipline at the very basic level, so that when it comes to the point where they've got to fire the gun, they can be creative, because all of the basics are done. For example, they're not looking where the magazine of the round, they're not fumbling around trying to, locate a target. They're already, all of those basics are done. And what Justin did is take all of the thought out of the basics that we were doing. It was just a process.
Yeah.
So John's been watching Ross Kemp documentaries this week. Alex, in terms of what he did, didn't seem to be an overnight fix, did it? From the outside, when he came in, but he made it look like one, and that is that not what's so great as well, that it happened so quickly, that there wasn't this, give him 6 months and so on.
I think if you look at the playing squad now to what it was back then, there's not much difference in personnel. Obviously we brought a couple of players in, we lost a couple of players, which probably helped a little bit.
Sure.
Got rid of the Deadwood.
No,
freed up a bit of cash.
Deadwood.
Yeah, no.
What did you say?
Deadwood.
I know you said it 4
Deadwood.
times, Mark. Deadwood.
No one acknowledged it. Johnny's Deadwood.
Deadwood.
No.
Well, a lot of the Saints fans were happy to see the back of John.
Yeah, not just Saints.
Yeah, I'm happy with the players as well.
That was an awkward laugh.
Has anybody got another beer?
Should he be drinking so heavily, John? I'm not quite sure.
It's fine. I've got no consequences.
Yeah. Can we get John another beer? I'm not sure. Carry on, Alex. Sorry.
Again, it was just sort of, sometimes it can be as simple as a change of face, some new personnel was coming in, a new coach coming in with some new ideas, and just get us excited again, get us all excited again about playing rugby. And again, everyone runs the same players, it was just who runs them best. And I think it was, as John said, we had so much clarity on how we wanted to play. in the fashion we wanted to play was just made our job so easy.
Yeah.
We didn't need to do anyone else's work. As long as you take ownership of your own work, stop this victim blame game what was going on at the time, and look after your own self, do what you should be doing, then everything else sort of falls into place then.
When did it click for you? Because I'd say there's a difference between you starting your career, so coming into the St Helens dressing room, and to where you are now. As I said before, like, my opinion is that you're amongst the best in the world at what you do. What tipped it that way? Because sport can go the other way, can't it? Could not work out.
Back at Batley before you knew it.
Yeah, for me, there was the turning point was after the 2014 Grand Final. Brownie left and Kez come on board, and I had a hip surgery that I think I missed all pre-season with hip surgery, and we bought a couple of middles in, and I thought, am I going to get much game time here? I was still sort of new to the scene. It was only my second year. We've got a couple of new middles. Am I going to play much? And Kez coming to me in pre-season 2 weeks after my surgery and sort of saying to me, I'm going to make you the main forward in our team. You and Robes and Wilco and the rest. We're going to build our pack around that front row, and we're going to go off the back of that. And having someone put that much confidence into you as a new player, so to speak, on the team, and have someone say that to you and put that much confidence into you, knowing that you're not going to be training for 12 weeks anyway, that come the season starts, you're going to be playing. And I thought, that was a point where I thought, well, yeah, I'm going to, and that was probably my best year, 2015. You know, I had a great year that year, and I sort of kicked on as a player, and I think that was sort of the start of it, was Kez just coming to me, as simple as saying those two sentences. You know, we're gonna build this back around you, Robes, and Wilco and the rest of whoever was there.
Isn't that amazing that it was something so simple like that?
Alex Ferguson says that in his book, isn't it? What's the best coaching tip he could give any coach? And doesn't he say, the words "well done" are the best tools sometimes? And Kez didn't say "well done" to you, but what he said to you is, look, Alex, I completely trust you to go and do a job for me, and that can change. It's confidence then.
Of course, yeah. If you've got the backing of your head coach who's putting all this confidence into you, then you sort of revel under it, and you can't wait to perform. And it was as simple as that. And I think playing that year in 2015 and having the year I did sort of just took me on to another level. And at that point, I knew I was going to go on and do what I was going to do. Just having that bit of confidence there.
Would it be a crying shame if Justin doesn't win the grand final, given that he's going?
Well, it's not just Justin, is it? It's the full team.
No, but to have that to his honours.
Yeah, he deserves that. He deserves that. And I think what he's sort of done in such a short time, as we spoke about, has been amazing. Not just for the club, but for the town itself. And he deserves something like that. I know we've had the league leaders for a couple of years now, and we've been the best team for 2 years. That's why we've sat where we've sat.
But that must be exhausting after a season like that, where this season more than ever, you're absolutely leagues apart, aren't you, from the rest of in terms of points anyway, from the rest of the teams.
What do you mean by exhausting? Like physically?
Exhausting to end up with nothing at the end.
Oh yeah, but I think the pressure there's, like I said, pressure's a thing, isn't it? Whether you believe it or not, but it feeds into the narrative for the underdogs, doesn't it, now?
Of course, yeah.
To play Saints. So Steve Price would have loved everyone writing Warrington off like he did, and he would have used that. The fact that you saw Josh Charnley singing Tommy Makison's name and all that after the game shows you how much Steve
Incentive
Price had used the perception of Saints being better than them as a tool. Now that's gone.
I mean,
but that's gone now.
Yeah.
That's gone.
But the fact that they won the Challenge Cup final.
Yeah, that has gone for Saints now.
Right.
That illusion of that they are the best completely out there. They're the best team in the league, but you can get beat. Any day you can get beat.
But is that what happened? That's what happened with you guys against Warrington at home in the playoffs last season?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, different circumstances, and I believe Saints are in a much better
Saints are a
spot
better team now than they were at this point.
Without doubt, like no doubt in my mind whatsoever.
But there must be a huge hunger now to.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to say that because I look back to 2014. We were the best team that year, weren't we? Until we lost.
We won the league leaders, though.
So many people. We lost Walshy, we lost yourself, we lost Johnny. And you look back to that 2014 grand final, we was wrote off. We'd been wrote off for weeks. We weren't going to win.
That wasn't the one where Mark played halfback.
The very one where we had a 4-1-1 and Flash was halfback and he kicked it.
I did actually.
That was the one. But
don't bring that up. All positive.
And yeah, we was wrote off for weeks before the grand. We were back not to even make the grand final because of the people we'd lost and the personnel. But what we did that year is simple to what we've done. You know, we just coming about. We made our game so simple. Let's just win. And probably what Warrington is to us in the Challenge Cup. Let's kick the ball long. Let's complete high. And let's just see if they can get out of the wrong half.
Without doubt, that was their plan. You could see it a mile off.
And it worked.
And when the numbers stack up in your favour, and when you're efficient with the ball and you kick well, and there's very low risk in everything that you do, that gives you an opportunity to win big games.
I think they made 4 errors that game. I think we made 16. We didn't deserve to be in the game, never mind win it.
Yeah.
If you're making 16 errors compared to a team who was making 4, you're not going to be in the game. You're not going to have a chance, and that's what ultimately cost us. But they had the grit in the teeth. That was the best they played all year. You could tell that, and they were by far worthy winners.
So how do you mitigate against that happening again? Say you get to the grand final now.
We're playing Salford.
You're not playing Salford.
Why not?
Well, just statistically very unlikely that you're going to make the grand final.
It's not very unlikely.
It's very unlikely.
Well, we're 5 teams.
Yeah, what are you going to do? Sell 2,000 tickets?
Johnny,
it's going to be
you've
devastating. It's going to be devastating for
What
the
does
game.
the crowd matter?
John, you've upset these Salford fans enough this season.
I ain't upset one fan.
No, they all hate you.
Oh, good.
They do.
That's like a common theme in rugby league, though, people hating you.
Yeah,
John Wilkins away.
Gary Schofield.
Well, because I mean, he's probably like,
Who else is there?
people look at him like, him and Fran, probably like the sort of Richard and Judy of rugby league, like the Eamon and Kate. That's those sort of.
Kate?
Is it Kate?
I don't think they do, Will. I think
No.
they just don't like the fact I have opinions.
Oh,
I think that's what it is.
No one's allowed to have an opinion.
Oh, don't have an opinion.
You're not allowed to have
Well, what I'd quite like is to have a few opinions on a final topic before we wrap up, Alex. Great to have you here.
Paid or unpaid?
Yeah.
We've done well, haven't we, from where we started 10 minutes ago with the poem.
Started down
the
here,
story.
coming up here. Are you going to
It
walk
was quite
down
awkward.
again?
It was a little bit.
Was it awkward?
Not on my behalf, but I felt.
I didn't
it
feel
felt a little
awkward.
bit
I may have looked
that's
like
the
it.
first
You did go
time.
and share it there.
Did I? No, I didn't.
It's the first time I've seen him blush.
I was probably more angry you didn't read it. I didn't feel awkward. But
No, you looked awkward though.
did I? I always look quite awkward.
You actually had a wed.
It's a bit like
That's
the
only
belt.
one.
So just to finish, there is a story which has been brought to my attention. And this is going to be below the belt again, but we're going to finish with it.
It's just going to be below the belt.
You 3 people here in front of me, Mark's laughing awkwardly here.
Oh no, this is going on.
Alex, this has nothing to do with me. That's all I'm saying. This has been all been cooked up.
I've been involved in a fight, right? And it wasn't no ordinary fight, because it was a 3-way fight between all of you.
Well,
And
I'd say it
Menage
was more of a 2-on-1.
Can you just take us back to that?
it was a 3-on-1.
Just take us back to that fateful day.
It was just a bit of handbags.
Can I? I don't think I can.
Mark, you told me the story last night. Tell it again.
It's not really much of a story. It was just a bit of handbags.
Yeah, it was. It was
Handbags,
more.
you
It
can't
was.
say handbags.
So I just don't understand how you can have a fight in 3
disagreement
ways.
over a tree getting posted through a letterbox.
And somebody not here posting grass through Alex's
A
letterbox.
tree getting posted through a letterbox.
Stuart Howarth, who signed at Saints for a couple of years, was posting various bits of vegetation through Alex's door.
After
and as
a
Alex
night
stormed out, you can imagine he's upset. There's like muddy, grassy, like lumps of.
At 5 in the
We
morning.
just lost the semi-final as well.
Yeah.
haven't we?
Oh,
was-
okay.
Yeah.
And Stu Howarth was giggling around a corner, sticking his head around a corner, and Al came out and went, "Pack it in doing that."
Yeah, you naughty boys.
And yeah, he said, "That's very naughty, and please respect my carpet, it's cream."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, fine. But is there any other things that you're going to do to solve this situation?" Which, on reflection, was a mistake.
I think what the wording was, what are you going to do about it?
Oh my God, it's
You're
me.
a tangent
I just
there.
realised the reason Mickey McLaurin punched me
So
wasn't his fault.
that's when the first punch was thrown, was it?
I'm
from you?
not saying any punches were thrown. I've never said anything. There was
I
we
didn't.
hit a point where
Of no return.
that was
There was
said.
a
and
there was a
I knew at a
disagreement.
crossroads you're going to go one way or the other, and I went one way.
Can I just say, by the end of it, we reached a humble accord.
Yeah.
And Flanagan, Walmsley, Wilkin relations have never been better.
Go on, sorry. But just to rewind, just
anything,
sort of 10 minutes
stronger.
into that story, at
Correct.
the end of the story, did it involve Mark sticking up for John because John was attacked? And
Oh, that's stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did stick up for him.
How dare you?
that's what made it a 3-way
Yeah.
fight.
He's my friend.
Whoa.
He's-
Subtext. I'm going to put a
I love him so much.
No, I'm going to put a subtext in here. Mark and Alex had a tendency to rib each other quite a lot throughout the year. You did. There was a bit of niggle there.
Was there?
Yeah, there was. And I felt like I was used as a vehicle for you two. No, I want an apology off you both. You used me as a vehicle to hit each other. You're our fault.
Gets weirder.
I used you as a vehicle to hit you.
Yes,
For
but you missed.
which I missed because no one punched anyone.
No.
And then Mark then used that as a vehicle to punch me, but missed as well.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
Because no one.
And then because we both fell over,
because we all
had a
missed.
bust nose.
And we all missed, we all missed, and nobody complained, and the club never knew about it. It
And
never
it was
happened.
fine. Anyway, nicely under the carpet.
No,
And no one needs to speak about it ever again.
And there was nobody.
One of the
and we
weirdest
didn't have-
stories, isn't
and
it?
we didn't have a meeting the next day about it.
No, nothing happened.
Nothing.
Lovely. Well, I'm
happened.
glad. We can put that one to bed. Alex, lovely to see you. Lovely to meet you.
Yeah, thank you.
If anyone is interested, any publishers are interested in taking that Ronald the Rhinoceros story off me, it is available at price. John, see you later.
Bye.
Mark, see you later.
See you, pal.
And wherever you are in the world, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.